Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
First of all, let's start with the workflow. Actually, we don't need to directly go to the practical session or else it will give a problem. Actually, we'll see that like how we have seen it in the sample, right? We have seen it in the elaborate manner, right? What are the informations and then what are the components? What is metadata? What is binding, right? Similarly, we'll also see those kind of things and then we'll also see what it does. What are the different? I mean in several. There are two type of flows, right? IDP and ST, right? I finish it. Yes, finish it, right? Right here in what also like that we will be seeing different types. Actually that types are known as the grand types. Actually we'll be seeing different types. Because I mean different types which each type will have a different workflow. Actually, we will see what are that workflow. What is the difference between each other? What is the use case for each grant type? We will be seeing each and every one actually now. Before getting started, right, can you open a Chrome browser? Let's download. That is one document. Actually, it's an official document from the Ping itself. Can you open up what developer's guide for PingPad, right? Just type what developer's guide for PingPad, right? Click on the first link. You can download this link. Actually, can you share this link in the chat? This one, whatever. You are seeing it in the screen. That others also can able to download it. Let's please download this PDF file. Actually, this is a best document and it's an official document from the Ping itself. It's not only for the PingPad. I am saying if you're using any other single channel tool also, right, this tool will be much more useful actually to understand what is the what and what are the. I mean, what is the workflow for the what like? It will start from the basics and then to the advanced level. Actually, everything with the step-by-step process. Also, it will be having it actually. You can able to download it with the. That's weird. You guys also, please download this link. We are seeing the SAML, right? SAML flow. We know SAML is a trusted protocol and it's a secured one and it's a restricted one. It's like every organization and every application will win. They will die to go with the SAML actually. But still why there is another protocol? Actually why there is a new protocol? We need because there is a good protocol. Actually SAML, everyone knows SAML is a secured one and fastest response it is having it actually. And also it's a restricted protocol. No one cannot be able to intercept the SAML response and then add the SAML response. The certificate usage. We can also send the different attributes in the response also. Authentication protocol. But there are many advantages are there in this. Many advantages are available in the SAML. But why there is another need of a protocol actually? Why there is another configuration? Why there is another protocol? Why we need that? There are only many advantages available in the SAML. Everything is there. That's good. Like it's a security is good. And then it's a simplest protocol. That's also fine. Easy to configure, easy to understand. We need to test it and easy to test it. Everything. Advantages are already available in SAML. But what about the disadvantages of the SAML? Actually, the disadvantages means whatever the advantages, what is the major advantage in the SAML, guys? Actually, what is the major advantage? Actually, I think in JavaScript, SAML couldn't be used right due to security issues. Is that the major? No, I'm not asking the disadvantage actually. The major advantage is that the major advantage of the SAML is the security only. Right, that same thing, which is also acting as a disadvantage. Actually, why? Because there are certain applications that you have mentioned, right? The JavaScript based applications. Actually, those applications, the JavaScript, right, that is acting as a weakest link in the browser. Actually, the security, when you compare with any other application, right, the JS is like little bit. It's like a little bit kind of a low actually when you compare it with any other applications. Actually, when you are enabling the SAML for like Salesforce kind of application, which you don't feel any kind of a disturbance actually, but when you are enabling the SAML for this kind of application, you cannot be able to continue. It won't work. Actually, it won't work. It's not working because the SAML is restricting itself. Actually, that is a behavior of the SAML. It's not alike. We cannot say it is a disadvantage. We cannot say it is a bug inside a SAML. Actually, it's a compiler priority only. It's like a beginner itself. SAML just restricts itself that it should not work for this kind of applications. Basically, like, all the people will say, this is like SAML is not a. It's like it's not. It's a disadvantage for the SAML. This is a disadvantage. We can agree, but we cannot. It's like when you see it as an overview, right? It's a good thing. Only right. It's like a secure protocol it is. It is big anything like that. That's why we are not calling the SEMA as a secure protocol. Actually, OSIS organization is the one who introduced the SAML. Actually, on 2005, SAML 2.2 protocol has been released, but this kind of a JS application was not there at the time actually. But whenever with the years get passed, right, the model solutions, and then the new kind of like applications are getting into that, and then this kind of a JavaScript kind of applications are getting introduced over the market, right? Sometimes these applications or organization they reached out to us is that stating that SAML is not working for this kind of applications. Actually, this application was not working with the SAML. Actually, that is what happens. Means like it's a behavior of the SAML. It's like it won't work actually. What they did, they didn't do anything for the SAML. SAML 2.2 is the latest protocol. Actually, there is no other SAML 2.1 or there is no new version has been released for the SAML. Actually, it's been 18 years. Actually, nearly 18 to 19 years. Still now there is no new version. Actually, what does that mean? Actually, because there is no requirement. Because it's already there, it's already good. The security is already increased and everything's already there. That is not recommended to upgrade any kind of a version. Actually, but for SAM 1.2, 1.1, then only SAM 2. Released. Actually, right. But after that, there is no official version has been released. Right again. What happened? They didn't solve the issue for the SAM. It's not basically an issue. What they did, they introduced a move on. There is another protocol called OAuth. Actually, in 2012, they introduced the protocol called OAuth. Open Authorization basically. Open Authorization basically. What does that mean? Whatever we are saying that, whatever and disadvantage for the SAML. We are saying right, it is acting as an advantage for the OAuth. Actually, that means whatever the SAML cannot be able to do, OAuth can do. Actually, but can we say the OAuth is a secured one? No, when comparatively with the SAM OAuth is not a secured one actually. That is why you can able to enable the SS OAuth for this kind of a JavaScript based application. But till like can we say what is the weakest one? No, we cannot say like that. Still, what is like not secured? Like a SAML, if it's a less secured protocol only. But we cannot. We cannot able to enable the single sign-up without the OAuth. Actually, still, we are using it. Even the OAuth is also. They are also working on to improve the experience for the OAuth. Actually, OAuth 2.0 is the protocol, but then they have released it on 2012. Actually, directly. OAuth 2.2, I don't know whether there is an official OAuth 1.0 protocol. Was there or not actually, but OAuth 2.2 protocol. That is the one which they have directly released. Actually, because there was an issue with the SAML 2.0. That's why they have released the OAuth 2.2 actually. But now right now, there is a 2.1 protocol. It's going to come actually. 2.1, the beta version already released actually. Beta version means we cannot use those things. Actually, in PingFederate, they didn't have this kind of configurations. But in the near future, it was supposed to release on 2023 itself, actually 2.1 protocol. It was supposed to go live on 2023 itself because they have announced it long back. Actually, during the COVID period itself, they have announced it, but to now 2.1 is not yet released. But there is a specific reason that we will see it in some time actually, why they are not releasing the SAML 2.1 protocol. Not yet actually. What happens? Right? There is some upgrade. Actually, we know they are increasing the security. That is a 2.1 protocol actually. First of all, let's see the OAuth 2.0 protocol. Now, what is SAML protocol? Actually, any idea what is a SAML protocol? Any idea what is SAML protocol we have discussed, right? Oh, you guys forgot. You guys forgot the protocol. Secure Access Markup Release. No, Security Accession Markup Plan with actually yes, Security Accession. What is the format actually? It's a XML based format, right? SAML request and SAML response request should be there, right? That is what the protocol name, right? SAML request should be there and then the SAML response should be there. These are the two protocols actually, right? One request, if the SAML request comes, which authentication will happen and then the SAML response will go, right? That is a normal kind of a configuration, which we had also seen, right? Single sign-on and also we have discussed a single logout. Also we have seen, right, normal format of the request and format of the response. It is not there in that. Basically, it is not there. The format will get changed actually. What happens? What is that format actually? What is going to change actually? Here in Salmon, it's a straightforward XML format actually. But in OAuth, the format we will be discussing about that is known as the JSON format. JSON, the request will be that is known as your authorization request. And then the response would be that is known as the JSON format. User means software format actually. That is the Jones access token. Their Salmon response here like a access token actually. Request, that is the authorization request. Response, that is known as the. It is again encrypted font that is known as the JSON format actually. And then that is supposed as the access basically. The format, it will get changed actually, but other than that, everything will stay the same. Their sample on request comes, means opt-in credit will trigger the adapter PCB data store write. The same thing here also will happen actually. This access token, we can also call it as a transient grant actually. Transient grant. Transient grant means it's a temporary token actually. Transient means it's a temporary token. Why we are calling this as a transient grant? We are having some kind of a validity actually, maybe like a 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours. We can have the validity of the token actually. We cannot have much validity. Actually, it's not secure. Whenever you are increasing the time limit of the access token right, it's not secure actually. You should have to keep the access token short and precise. It should be 30 minutes. It's the official. 30 minutes is the best kind of validity if most of the organization will use the 30 minutes or some organization will use the 60 minutes actually. These two are good, but the default time is 120 minutes actually in the pin part. That is why this token is known as the transient grant. Transient grant, which is a temporary token which will have a validity of some time actually. Now here how the workflow happen actually. One request will come, response will go. In SAML we are seeing idp/sososum2, right? That is the endpoint which you have seen, right endpoint actually. The SAML request will be redirected to this particular URL, right? That URL is known as tsososum2. Now this is an IDP initial to SSO. The S finish to SO should be on SOSUM2, right? Can you copy the same thing actually? The host name will stay the same. Only difference, it will get changed actually. We will see that. The request, they are pointing the authorization request. They are pointing to the ping file at endpoint. That endpoint will be, can you remove that identity provider and then put the AS actually. Instead of IDP, it's AS. AS means authorization server actually. There in SAML, we are calling the ping file as an identity provider. Here we are calling the ping file as an authorization server. Who is going to do the authentication for a user in SAML? We are calling this as IDP, in what the authentication will be done by some kind of a component. That component, we are calling this as an authorization server actually. That is known as ping provider. In SAML IDP, in ping provider, in what authorization server actually? The authentication will happen on this particular component actually. That is known as the authorization server. Then what about the service provider actually? In SAML, the service provider who is providing the services, right? Here, that has been redirected to two things actually. One is client, that is your application. Another one is resource server actually. Your service provider, that is like a resource server in the auth basically. Application is the resource server. Resource server or authorization server AES actually. The authorization request will be redirected to this particular endpoint as /authorization.auth2 actually. You can able to make sense right as authorization.auth2. There's so.saml2. Here authorization.auth2. Actually, it makes sense, right? Both of them actually. You can able to see the difference, right? But this is known as the like a endpoint when the authorization request will be reached to the PingFederate. That is the authorization server. Now there are two components you have seen. One is authorization server, that is the who is going to do the authentication for a user PingFederate. Another one is who is creating the request, actually authorization request, that is the resource server. Here there are four parties will get involved actually. The first one, that is the user or resource owner actually. User resource owner. User resource owner actually. User means who is the user who is trying to access the application, right? That user is known as the resource owner actually. We can also call this as the resource owner basically. And that's the user or resource owner actually. Now in SAM there are only two parties actually, IDP and SP. The user or not will be there, but those users are not taken care as the like having parties involved in the OAuth in the same L actually. But in OAuth we are calling this user also as a like a party. That's one grant type will be there that we will be discussing about actually. Now the second one is, we all know that it's known as the authorization server, who is going to do the authentication for a user. Then the third one is, that is the client basically. Client means, for example, let's say you are trying to access a Zoom meeting, right? Then the Zoom meeting is the client application actually. That is your application basically. Zoom is like that, right? That is the application. If you are trying to access the any other application means, then that application will be acting as a client. But all the configurations of both applications should be configured on one backend, right? Like application configuration, application information should be configured on one backend server, right? That server is known as the resource server, maybe like a Zoom backend server actually, where your SSO configuration also will be configured. Like for example, let's say our authorization server information, right, will be configured on the resource server. Actually, will be configured on the resource server. That is the application backend server. If you the real-time example, right, for what? The Zoom meeting is the real-time example for the OAuth action. Like if you're trying to access it with the Google account, right, the Zoom meeting will go as auth configuration on the action. We can say Zoom meeting is the real-time auth example. And then the clash of clients. You know, right, the PUBG mobile clash of clients. These are also like real-time example for the auth basically. But the Zoom meeting is the best example basically. Now, how's the workflow? Can you go back to the developer's guide? Actually, let's discuss about the diagram of the representation for the OAuth actually. Till now, all good, right? Any doubts, guys? Everything is good. What is OAuth? OAuth is the open authorization tool actually. In whatever the disadvantage for the SAML, in order to overcome that issue for the certain JavaScript application, in order to enable the SO for those kind of application, we are having the OAuth protocol actually. What is it's an open authorization one. It's a totally different from the SAML. The request will be on the authorization request. That is the API call basically. We can also call this as a query parameter. Actually, then the response will be on the transient grant, that is the access token actually. That access token will be on the JSON format. SAML is the XML format. OAuth is the JSON format actually. That token will have a validity of certain time actually. We can able to specify those kind of time also. What are the actors or parties involved in the OAuth? There are 4 parties involved. User or resource model, client or your application, authorization, server, resource server. The user agent is just a browser you are accessing. Like what will be the browser you are accessing it? Or if you are using the mobile based application, your mobile is also acting as a user agent. Actually, understood. Basically, like client is the direct application actually. Everything will happen through the client only whenever the resource server is creating a request. It will happen through the client actually. Client means client is the application actually. Understood? All good. Everything will happen through the client actually. Whenever the resource server will hit any kind of authorization auth request, right? It will go to the client and then it will reach the authorization server actually. If you could see, right, target application or the AP, that provide us the request or resource, and this actor will validate the access token, and alright. Everything will be done by the resource server actually. Now let us discuss about the flow. Can you scroll up a little bit? One request and one response, right? That is the flow which you are going to discuss. No, scroll down a little bit. The diagrammatic representation. Here, whenever you are the user, you are trying to access the application. Basically, that is the client. Then the client application, right? It is redirecting. That means you are accessing over the browser or something. It will redirect the user back to the resource server. In resource server, all your information about the authorization server is already configured. Based on that, it will create the authorization request AP. I call actually authorization request AP. I call that is the as /authorization org, right? That call, it will get created and then it will redirect the request back to the authorization server through the client. Actually, then authorization server, once it has received the request, right? Again, all the configuration, whatever there in the authorization request is already configured on the unified rate actually. It will get matched. Actually, once it is matched, if it is successful, it will throw the login screen to the user. In the browser, the user will type the credentials. Once they type the credentials right, authentication is successful means then the authorization server will create an access token or transient client. Actually, it will create the access token and then it will attach the certificate, right? It will sign the token by using the certificate. It will attach the attributes in the token and send the back token back to the resource server. Actually, then the resource server will have to verify the token right. They need to verify the token right. How they can able to verify it? In SAML, how they are verifying the SAML response by using the certificate and also the SAML certificate, right? SAML subject, right? Either you are sending the mail or UID or you are validating based on the SAML, that is a certificate, right? Here how they are going to validate the token by using the same certificate only, or there is another option also there. Certificate is optional here in OAuth. In the SAML, it's mandatory. Here in OAuth, it's an option. Because here it will be like, it will validate the token based on the certificate, or there are like other options also. Another option is that there is one more AP, I call actually. The resource server will make another AP. I call back to the authorization server. Hey, PingFederate, I'm having the token which we generated in the last step actually. Can you validate the token for me? Then the PingFederate will receive the token and then it will validate whether the token is active or not. And if it is active, it will share all the attributes in that token, basically like first name, last name, UID and mail address, right? Those attributes, whatever the attributes you are adding it in the token, they will be sending it in the resource server actually. The first step is that when the user is trying to access the application, there is a client. The client will read out to the resource server. Then the resource server will create a request. That is the input actually authorization request. Then username and password output is once it is validated, actually it will create an access token and attach the certificate and attach the attributes and send the token back to the resource server. Then the second step, they need to validate it. Actually, they can validate based on the certificate or they can do validation based on the like an AP call. Also validation, that AP call is known as the validation AP call. Actually, they will again send the token back to the PingFederate to check whether the token is active or not. The second call input is token, output is token, is valid or not. Actually, if it is valid, it will send the attributes also in the response of the second call, actually. This is how they can able to do the OAuth. First step, OAuth authorization request. Input is username and password. Output is token will get generated. Second step, validation. AP call input is token, output is token, is valid or not. Actually, these are the two-step process actually. It's a two-step process. The user authentication will happen on the user agent. Basically, there is a login screen will be there. I mean the same thing, how the sample flow, right? The IDP will throw the login screen, and similarly here, authorization server is throwing the login screen. That is the adapter, and then the PCV and data source will comes into the picture again. Actually, any doubts on the normal flow, guys? All good. There are two calls. First call, authorization auth 2. Input is username and password. Output is that is known as the access token actually. Now the second call, that is known as the like a validation call. Actually input is the token which is generated in the first step, that is the output of the first step, and then like output of the second step is that token is valid or not. Actually, that is known as the normal auth workflow. This is just a normal flow actually, but based on this workflow, there are like 4 other grantors we are going to see. That is the 4 other workflows actually. Till now all good. Now here, based on this 4 parties, right? There are 4 different workflows actually. 4 different workflows which 4 different types of OAuth actually. The first type that is grown a bit, it will be giving. This is the old document, the new grant type. It won't be there. But we will be seeing those new grant types also. Here the first grant type that is known as the opposition core grant type. Second one is implicit. Third one is resource owner, password connector granted, and then the client credentials granted. The extension granted was not there. I don't know why they were still having it actually, but we know why. This is a whole document only. Now here, if you could see the opposition core grant type, it's a widely used one actually. Nowadays, every application, if you are going for auth, it's better to go with the authorization core grant type actually. And then there is an implicit grant type, raw PC. Resource owner password credential granted means, in short form, we are calling this as a raw PC grant type or password grant type. Actually, raw PC or password granted actually. Client credentials. The next one is client credentials. Granted means it's a like machine-to-machine authentication. We will be calling this as a CC or like a server-to-server authentication actually. These are the 4 grant types, but apart from these 4 grant types, right, these are 4 major grant types actually, like what we can say. For authentication, these 4 grant types should be there. Apart from this, there are 3 other grant types. I don't know whether that 3 grant types it will be mentioned here in this documentation. That one is refresh token is one of the grant type. Second one is access token validation. Third one is the new one. Authorization code is granted with the PKC method ROP for code exchange. Actually, here refresh token, we will see. What is the refresh token? We know what is an access token, right? Then what is the assertion grant? Assertion grant. No assertion grant. I think they have removed it from the pink one, right? Actually, nowadays, it was not there, I think, but whether it is then because and it's been long time, I have seen this type actually. Is it data? It's still loading. Oh, it's ticking. It's ticking. It's ticking. It's ticking. Some these grant types, right? For example, let's say like device authorization grant or CIB, right? These are all will be used on the pink access actually. When we do it, when you have make a configuration or connection between the pink credit and then the pink as well. These grant types will be used actually. If you are using the direct pink credit, these are the 4 grant types actually. Authorization code, implicit and refresh token is the like separate grant type actually. That is, you need to use it along with the authorization code or like a RAW PC grant type. You need to use it actually. You cannot separately use the refresh token basically. And then the access token validation. That is done as the validating the token. First of all, we are having the access token, right? Access token is nothing but it's a transient grant. Transient grant means it will be valid for like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours. You can have a validating. But refresh token, right? It is also known as the persistent grant. Actually, even in the interview. Also, right, they will be asking what is the refresh token or what is the persistent grant. Actually, refresh token is like the name is suggested, right? The persistent grant. It is not having the like expiration time actually. Expiration time means it will be valid for like infinite number of time actually. Infinite number of times. It is not going to expire actually. Because right in Facebook or like in, for example, let's say like if you're using the Clash of Clans or PUBG mobile, right? After logging, have you ever log out from the application automatically? Unless if you click on the logout button, that's different. But whether those applications automatically log in you out actually, no, right? Have you seen those application logging out anytime? Like expiration of the time or something. Unless you log out or unless you reset the password, it will get logged out actually. But apart from that, it will stay inside the application like infinite number of times, right? That is because of the refresh token concept actually. Because the access token will be valid for 30 minutes. For example, after 30 minutes, it will log out. You need to log in again, actually, right? After the expiration time, you need to provide your username and password because this SOL will get expired after the access token got expired. But every 30 minutes, if you are logging in, if you are typing the username and password, it is not good, right? It will. Users will get irritated, right? Every 30 minutes, if you keep on logging out, if you are typing the username and password every 30 minutes, it's not a good one. But for that, we cannot increase the access token validity time also, right? It's not good actually. Here, the setting will be there actually. Scroll up, a little bit scroll up. The persistent grant maximum time right. Grants do not expire actually. That is the refresh token does not have an expiration time, but we can still customize Vinay. You can still customize it. If you are changing this one here, which it will affect all the clientele, which is affect all the application which is using the refresh token. If only one application is asking, we can also do that change inside their own application. Actually, that we will see inside the whole client itself. We can do that change also. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can able to see there. If you could see right, persistent grant maximum time you can change it. If you are changing it here, it will affect only one application. But if you are putting it in the system under global sharing means that is equal. It will affect the whole, whatever the application which is using the refresh token. What refresh token will do right? During the authentication itself, during the creation of access token, will we see the flow right? During the flow, after successful authentication, it is going to create the token access token. When they are creating the access token, the refresh token also will get generated. Actually, the refresh token. There are two tokens will get created after successful authentication. But after 30 minutes, the access token is going to expire means, for example, during the 30th minute, the access token is going to expire. On 29th minute, right, what application team will do? They can able to call one endpoint. Let's say can able to do one AP call. That is the refresh token AP actually. What they will do right, by using the refresh token, they will do the AP call back to the ping pattern. Ping pattern. I'm having the refresh token. It's inactive only. Can you refresh the old token to generate the new token? What ping pattern will do, right? When they get the request, they will refresh the old token to generate the new token. Basically, they will refresh the old token to generate the new token. But when they are generating the new token, they won't ask you to type the username and password. Actually, it will be seamless. It will be seamless because the old token, it was still active actually, and then the refresh token also will be active. The old token is going to expire in 29th minute, which means if that token expires, that's all actually. They will be doing it at the expiration time of the old token. If it is going to expire in 30 minutes, in 29 minutes, they will do that actually. They will try to call the ping pattern right. That is the hey, I'm having the refresh token. Still, the old token is validating. Can you refresh the old token to generate the new token? Then the ping pattern will check the refresh token is active or not. If it is active, then it will refresh the old token to get to create the new token. Actually, then it will be valid for next 30 seconds, 30 minutes actually. Then they will do the again. The refresh token, if they call on next 30 minutes unit again, it will be valid for next 30 minutes. Like that, it will go on actually. Like that, it will create for infinite number of times actually. But when you are in active right, like for example, let's say like when you are in idle inside, the application for continuous with 30 days means that's all actually. Your refresh token will get expired actually. Your refresh token will get expired. When the refresh token is also getting expired, that's all actually. You will be kicking out from the application. You will be logging out from the application. That is what may be like, for example, let's say the PUBG mobile or Trash Up Lunch. It never logs out. Actually, unless you uninstall your mobile application or you are picking out the log out, it never logs out. But if you didn't open the application for continuously 6 months or 1 year, maybe like 30 days of, I think 30 days or 2 months actually, if you didn't open the application, means you will eventually log out. Actually, because you are idle inside the application. Basically, that is now actually refresh token concept. This refresh token concept, nowadays we need to use it basically. Because we cannot be able to use it for independently, you need to use it with authorization code grant type and OPC grant type. These are the two grant types. The refresh token, you can able to use it. You cannot use it with implicit. You cannot use it with TE like a client credential grant type. We will see why it is not used for those grant types, why it is used only for authorization code and OPC. I think we will stop it right there. You know, right? All good actually, the OAuth 2.0 protocol. The introduction is good. And then you understood, right, the workflow. Whatever we have discussed, the part is involved with the OAuth. All good till now. Any doubts on the difference between the access token and then the refresh token? That is the transient grant and then the persistent grant actually. Transient grant is having a value of time. Refresh token, it is like a position grant actually. That is, it will be default. It is not going to expire actually. But there is an option. It can have a good amount of time actually. But it is not going to give with the same value like you are putting it with the access token actually. If it is, you are also giving it a 30-minute spin. That is not a good one, right? That is not a useful actually. The refresh token, generally it will be normally people will use it, do not expand only. But some organization will use the 180 days default. The ideal time will be 30 days actually. That is a default time. We can have the 30 days as a maximum ideal time will fall. They won't increase the 30 days actually. That is ideal time will be. Every organization will use 30 days. They won't increase the value to 45 days or 60 days, or it's not like that. Understood now? If only one application is asking, you can put it inside the application. We will also test this actually. We'll put it one day of refresh token. We will test it the next day also. I think we will stop at one again. Next one, we will start with the auto patient code brainer. We will complete all the 4 workflows actually. Then we will start configuring the OAuth actually. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.